Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I want to talk about American politics, and we're continuing to do the postmortem of the absolutely shocking results, the landslide victory of King Trump in the American King era. It's really in the president in the King Trump era. Like he's not really a president; he's not functioning. Like he has a mandate that no president has gotten, I think, ever. Like he absolutely, virtually destroyed the entire Democrat Party, right? So what I want to talk about today is, we're doing this postmortem. We're breaking down all these key mistakes, and I honestly, and let's return to it. I don't think anything I'm saying here is a repeat. So, but I do want to dig more into why Kamala Harris did not go on to the Joe Rogan podcast. And I think this is complex, and we need to be honest on both sides, right? And we need to look at this because I think this is really important to actually understand real ones and eccentric elements, right? Okay, so what is a real one? So John Bernthal, he plays the Punisher on Netflix's The Punisher show. You've seen him in a few things. He was on The Bear. He's like this kind of gruff. He plays a lot of gruff, street level characters, right? But he's pure Hollywood, right? He has a podcast called Real Ones, and I know what he's talking about, right? Who's he talking about? He's talking about real dudes, right? Like own a pickup truck because they need a pickup truck, not because they want to drive a pickup truck to a mall, right? Somebody who can change the oil in their car, right? Somebody who's actually done labor, who's like, their back hurts because they worked all day, like real ones, right? Like people who swear a little and, drink more than a few beers each night, like a real one, right? Just a real American blue collar laborer, right? That's about as close as you're going to get to a real one, right? And John Bernthal plays them, and he has this podcast called Real Ones. But here's the kicker, all right? Joe Rogan is not a real one, right? He is a very unusual guy. He's actually an eccentric element, but he knows what a real one is, and he knows how to talk to people, and he knows how to illuminate real ones. Or even if you have real elements within you, right? So so we just talked about real ones. Let's talk about eccentric elements, all right? Let me explain to you what an eccentric element is. And I love analogy, right? And this is a perfect analogy. So podcasts are the thing now. They are getting a lot of attention because I think people are like, if you talk for 90 minutes, I'm going to hear something real, right? And I'm going to hear something real. And if you don't have anything real, I'm going to know that too, right? So David Duchovny, like every other Hollywood star, has got a podcast now. So he has Gillian Anderson on. Now, they were Scully and Mulder. So everybody wants to hear Scully and Mulder talk, right? And they're all like, you guys are best buds. You played friends. You were friendly FBI agents, and, you were best friends. And the reality is these two, they don't care about each other. They're like, hey, those are characters. We're Hollywood stars. We're not friends. Like, that's just on screen. So David Duchovny comes on, and he has on Gillian Anderson, and they have this kind of strained conversation, right? Because they've been alienated for a long time. And David Duchovny told a story that perfectly explained the difference between a real one and an eccentric element, okay? And we're getting this back to Kamala Harris. Just stay with me here. So David Duchovny says, do you remember, Gillian, do you remember when we flew on a private jet that I chartered? I paid for it. So I got a private jet, right? And I said, hey, I'm going from Vancouver all the way back to Los Angeles. You're going to Los Angeles. I got my own private jet. Why don't you come with me, right? I was picking up the tab, right? So he's got, and actually, you know what? I'm not sure. It might have been his private jet, literally his own private jet, right? I'm not even sure if he chartered it or if it was his, right? But he's, remember when I got that, when you and I went back on my private jet, right? And you were late, and I was angry with you. And what we did was we spent the entire it was just you and me in the Learjet, right? And it was so strained. Like I was angry with you, you knew it, And so you sat there and you wrote me a lovely letter. And I remember it was beautiful. And by the way, there's a little bit of a note there that like he doesn't have it. He didn't keep it, right? Like you're like, yeah, like he's like, you wrote me this lovely letter, and then you gave it to me near the end of the flight, right? And I read it later, right? And it was beautiful, and it really touched me, right? But also, I remember that we couldn't communicate. We were 10 feet apart. We were the only people on the plane, but we couldn't communicate. And Gillian Anderson says, I don't ever remember even being on that jet with you. And it was just so wild. Like, you're like, this is so bizarre, so alien, so wealth marinated, right? So outrageously, like, unrelatable to any real one, to any real person. And this is their life, right? Because they're eccentric elements. They're not real ones. They're not real people, right? They're people. They're human. But they're not regular humans. They're not even remotely regular humans. They're eccentric elements, and their lives are so unrelatable, so bizarre, right? That any real one would look at this and go and just roll his eyes. He wouldn't even have anything to say. He'd just be like, y'all's got some BS up in your world. Really? Like it would be just so alien to any regular person, right? And to Gillian Anderson, it wasn't even memorable, right? Other people be like, yeah, I remember when I was on a private jet. But Gillian Anderson can't remember being on a private jet and writing a letter to a person who was 10 feet away from her, because her life is so bizarre from regular people standards, right? And this was Kamala, right? And this is why she couldn't go on Joe Rogan. She'd have nothing but these super bizarre, super unrelatable stories. It would be so clear that she was a coastal elite, a San Franciscan elite, right? An academic elite, an elite of every possible array, of multiple possible arrays, and that she doesn't have a real bone in her body. She's an eccentric element to the core, and people don't want to be led by eccentric elements. And what's wild is you can be an eccentric element if you can still remember what a real one is and like show a facet of it, which is I think what Joe Rogan is not a real one. He has hundreds of millions of dollars, right? He's an eccentric element, but he has a facet and he can turn a real one face to the world. And he can also illuminate real ones, right? He still remembers them. And he's been able to hold on to both. Whereas Kamala is just an eccentric element. She has absolutely no idea what a real one is anymore, right? And that's why she could not go on Joe Rogan. And I think it was worth exploring that. And I hope you do too. Thank you very much for letting me share that with you. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion, nothing more, nothing less. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion, when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider like and subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.